Today we're going to move on to day 2. We are going to be multiplying polynomials. And so if we look at our learning target here, we are going to multiply a monomial by a polynomial. So reviewing some of that vocabulary, monomial is one term. Polynomial is, I'm just going to put here, greater than 1. So generally, we have some vocabulary words. We have binomial is 2, trinomial is 3. But sometimes, since we're going to be multiplying by binomials, trinomials, more than that, we're going to lump them all into polynomials. Okay, so number 1, we've learned everything that we're getting ready to do. We're just going to put it together in one process. So number 1, we've got 4n times n squared minus 5n plus 3. So I am going to distribute into my parentheses. So what I need you to see here is when I do 4n, I'm going to write the first one over in the margin. So I'm going to do 4n times n squared. So when I've got the 4, all right, but I need to recognize that when I multiply the n times the n squared, this is going back to our exponent rules. So I have the same base, so I'm simply going to add the powers. So I am going to have 4n to the third. Okay, on the second one, I'm going to be doing 4n times negative 5n. So I have two parts. I've got the two numbers. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. N times n is n squared. And then the third one is 4n times 3. Well, I can do 4 and 3 to get 12, and the n will stay with it. So my simplified multiplication here is 4n to the third minus 20n squared plus 12n. Okay, so you're thinking multiply the numbers since the underlying operation is multiply. But when you multiply variables, we add the powers together. Okay, number 2. Distribute in. So I've got negative 3x to the third times 2x. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. X to the third times x. I would add the 3 and the 1 here, and I would get x to the fourth. Second one, negative 3 times negative 7 is positive 21, and the x to the third doesn't have anything else to combine with. So I end up with negative 6x to the fourth plus 21x cubed. All right, I want you to pause and do number 3. Okay, pause the video, come back, and check your answer on number 3. All right, when I multiply in, I should end up with negative 2x to the fourth plus 8x squared minus 6x. Okay, so pay special attention to your exponents. Sometimes I find students forget that when you are multiplying variables together, you add their powers. Okay, number 4. What we're going to do is, what I want you to see here is I have one grouping of problems I'm going to distribute, and then a second grouping, and then I'm just going to go through and see if I have any like terms. All right, so step 1, let's distribute in. So I will have negative 10n cubed, and then plus 5. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and distribute here. So n times 3n squared, that's going to be plus 3n cubed plus n. Or you could write 1n, that's fine. All right, so let's find like terms. N to the third and n to the third. So I have on this one negative 10. Now I'm adding. So when I add terms, I simply combine the coefficients, the numbers in front of the variables, and bring the variables down. So negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7. And like I said, just bring the variable down. I see that I have here, I'm going to put this in standard form. So I'm going to look at n. It has nothing to combine with, so I'm going to just bring it down here to the next step. And then what I have here is the plus 5. It just comes down to the next step as well. So in standard form, negative 7 n to the third plus n plus 5. Okay, please try number 5. I want you to pause and work through it and then come back and check. Okay, I'm going to distribute. Now pay special attention to this negative. That's a negative 5. So I'm going to have minus 5x squared plus 35x because I have negative 5 times negative 7. And then combine like terms. So I've got two sets of x squareds. So negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. And it's just negative 8x squared. I will then bring down the one with just x on it, so plus 35x and then minus 12. So general rule of thumb, we usually write things in standard form, even if the directions don't say. Okay, so that lesson is multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. So I want to just kind of show you here. So 4n is a monomial. This is a trinomial. The second one is a monomial times a binomial. Okay, so we're generally just doing the process of distributing.